The national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, said that the rumored third-term bid of President Buhari was planted by the PDP. Mr. Oshiomhole, who addressed State House correspondent after a closed-door meeting with President Buhari at a presidential villa in Abuja, says that most Nigerians are yet to forget what the PDP tried to do to promote the third-term agenda while in power. So let's continue the conversation and get some other views on this matter. We have to discuss further. I'm being joined here in our Lagos studio by former Senate Whip, Professor OLUSOLA Adeyeye. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Happy New Year, Shehu.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Let's start the conversation on the controversial third term. When the president said, I will leave office in 2023, the PDP said, he doesn't need to say that. Pastor Bakare said, the president must plan succession. What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, there's been so much rumors in the press and social media about third term. If the president had kept totally quiet, the same PDP would say, oh, he has kept quiet because he's planning third term. The man now said, and I believe him, that he is going to leave in 2023. And quite frankly, he has no choice. That's what our Constitution says. Even if we will change that Constitution, the beneficiary will not be the present occupier of that office. And in any case, by the grace of God, we will not change that Constitution in that respect. Therefore, I believe the president, and I believe in this instance, the PDP is paying extremely poor politics that the nation does not need at this critical time.
And which is?
Which is that we need to focus on the problems of the nation. We need to focus on the problem of federalism. We need to focus on the problems of resources. For a nation of about 200 million people, we just passed a budget of only $29 billion. You can say it's 8.99 whatever it is in Naira, but it's only $29 billion. A bit more than twice the budget of Harvard University for 1 year. Listen, Sheon, the truth is Egypt, with only about 100 million people, has a budget of about $90 billion. The truth is, South Africa, with only about 34 million people, that is about 17% of the population of Nigeria, has a budget of $130 billion. We are in a mess. We are pathetically poor. And Nigerian politicians are acting as if things are hunky-dory. They are not.
But
and we're not focusing.
But you are in the ruling party, Senator.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I mean, you had said at some point that Nigeria cannot get peace with this constitution. You in fact said the constitution we currently operate is a major problem of Nigeria. But your party, now in the second term, has not fixed that constitution. You said it on the floor. You said it right on that state where you're sitting. But your party has still not done anything about it.
Well, unfortunately, the issue of amending the Constitution belongs primarily to the legislature. People can blame Buhari all they want. People can blame Oshiomhole all they want. As far as I'm concerned, the buck begins on the table of Dr. Ahmed Lawan, the president of the Nigerian Senate, and Barrister Femi Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Let them begin the process. As soon as we begin in 2020, that does not mean we should go through the same exercise we went in the past. If we do, we will end up with the same result that we had in the past. What do I mean by that? If you try to revise the whole thing, you get bogged down in all kinds of issues that at the end you achieve nothing. Let them take specific items, debate them, and set for this republic a target of what we can achieve in the next 3 years. If we don't achieve them in the next 3 years, By the time the election stream gets full blast in 2022, maybe November, it will be too late to do anything.
When you were in the National Assembly,
yes,
the last time,
yes,
your session tried to amend the Constitution. We saw the issue of state policing. We saw the issues of resource control and all of that come up on the floor. But nothing came out of it. Billions of naira were spent. About 2 billion or more were said to have been spent on fixing the Constitution. You are saying that should be the solution to the country's problem. But a lot of people will also argue that Nigeria needs to be restructured. And where do you leave the issues of the confab of 2014?
Number one, had anybody gone to court to challenge that confab, you will have won. Because even the extant Constitution does not have room for such a body. And that's why I believe we should hold the feet of the current legislatures. One, let's not deceive ourselves. There's nowhere in the world where constitutions are changed drastically overnight. Some of these things will be done piecemeal. But I believe there are 5 or 6 items that we can look at critically. And if we look at them, we will begin to move this nation forward. For example, you talk about state police. I'm glad that even the federal government and the governors now are talking about state policing. Only this past week, we read about Amotekun. Well, for whatever it means, I'm praying that some state governments will take it. Look, here in Lagos, you have LASMA. Whether we like it or not, LASMA is a kind of police. So there are ways in which, even with the current constitution, we can push it to its limit. And I believe the state governors should be brought to do that. Look, under President Obasanjo, one governor, the governor of Zamfara, the state, that is Ahmed Yerima, pushed this nation to its limit with his Sharia law. And he got away with it. Of course, the whole thing now has created the kind of problem we have in some states of Nigeria. Because, as Obasanjo said, and I believe correctly, what Yerima was doing was nothing but political shenanigans. It was political Sharia. But the truth is, it pushed the system. And some governors in the South need to be courageous. Some governors in the Middle Belt need to be courageous. And I dare say, some governors in the North need to be courageous to say, look, some of these things are not working for us. What should we do to make this republic work? My predecessor here, the man who was just talking now, talking about the Apapa port. Ask yourself, why should 80% of the import of a republic of over 200 million people go through only one port? Ports in the US don't even belong to the federal government. They don't even belong to the state. They belong to the cities. And yet, in all of those ports, they are manned by federal agents. Give Warri a chance to build a port. Give Port Harcourt a chance to build a port. Give Calabar a chance to build a port. Give along the 400 miles of Nigerian coastline the possibility to have ports. Just put checks and bans in places that they don't become places where the integrity of the republic can be compromised. Once you do that, we'll free Lagos. Papa right now is a chaos. That is a shame to all Africans, especially Nigerians. Let's
take a breather, Professor. I would like to get your view on where you think 2023 presidency should go. Now that Pastor Tunde Bakare has asked the president to start working on his succession plan, and who do you think should be the successor to President Muhammadu Buhari from your party? You give me the answer when we take this break and come back. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back. Let's get back to the conversation with the former Senate Whip, Professor OLUSOLA Adeyeye. Before I get a view of Senator Adeyeye on the question I wanted to ask him before we went on that break, let me get some of your views online, some of the tweets that we're getting. At Habi Soye says, for 2023, if APC picks El Rufai and Kade Fayemi as presidential and vice presidential candidate, they automatically have my votes. at D Capitan says, if seaports will be privatized and let private sector to build more ports in other parts of the nation, a Papa gridlock will be no more. At Dakpo Mola 17 says, everyone is playing politics with the Nigerian issue. Prof is saying the truth that we are pathetically poor and still people are mismanaging the Commonwealth. Keep the tweets coming. Some of them you will see at some point on the program. Professor, Pastor Tunde Bakare says, President Muhammadu Buhari, plan your succession. Your succession plans must be on the table. Should the president be thinking about that?
First, I want to concede to Pastor Tunde Bakare the right to his own view. But I want to say quite honestly, it's regrettable that less than 7 months into this current tenure, when we have not even handled a single budget of that second term, we're already getting so cantankerous about politics, as if we don't live on the same planet in which the United Kingdom just had an election where the whole process lasted 5 weeks. This nonsense of elections drawing out ad libitum cum nocere. It's an American nonsense that we cannot afford. Election is a big business in the USA. In the Republic of Nigeria, it's an avenue to steal money from the various governments for the various parties. And only the parties in government at the various states are supported by the funds of that state. And only the ministers in office, in various offices, will aid the candidature of their party. So if we were to get serious, in my opinion, yes, we should always have long-term plan of succession, or what do we do. But our main focus right now should be on governance. How do we grow the economy? How do we have a republic of 200 million people with only $29 billion to spend?
President Buhari should not be thinking of who succeeds him.
I believe he should, but he should not be the front burner. I don't believe it should be his primary responsibility. President Buhari is a Nigerian, therefore he has a right. He's a leader in our party, therefore he has an obligation. But I don't think he should be preoccupied with that. His preoccupation should be having a free and fair election. Because as a party man, of course, every APC man will want the APC to win the next election. But the goal should be a free and fair election in which the sovereignty of the people to choose their leader is respected. If they choose the APC, which I will want, since I'm a member of the APC, of course I will smile. If they don't choose the APC, of course that's their right. Just like when they threw out the PDP. Look at Ghana. Look at Ghana. Yeah. Ghana has changed government 3 times through the ballot. That's what we should pray for in Nigeria. If we do right, we should be elected. If we don't do right, hell no, we should not be.
Is your party doing right?
For the resources we have right now, we are doing our best.
Is your party the best thing that has happened to Nigeria?
In the circumstances, yes. Because it would have been worse under the PDP.
Really?
Oh, I believe so.
I mean, as it stands right now, if you go to the polls today, if APC goes to the polls at the center, do you think you can win an election?
The election is not today. That's theoretical.
No, but it's, I mean, it's an hypothesis.
The hypothesis should also say that whatever is wrong with the economy, we have 3 years to fix them and face the people with our record. Okay. And I'm so confident that at the end of 3 years, when we have the express road working, which the PDP did not do for all their years in office, when we have the East-West Niger bill, which the PDP did not do, when we have railway working, when we have the airport working. Listen, these are all projects that were abandoned and neglected during the years of plenty. It is in the years of scarcity that the APC is doing the best to make a headway. And believe you me, it's tough. It's very tough. But I believe the APC is doing a better job than the PDP would have done.
Professor, if
Yes.
you look at what the president said on New Year's Day,
Yes,
does it resonate hope for Nigerians?
it does. First and foremost, no matter how bad things are now or could be, we as Nigerians must remain eternal optimists. We must be incorrigibly optimistic. What choice do we have? This is the only country we have. Look, only 2 days ago, I read a report that there are about 11 Nigerian children out of school. That's a crisis. That's more than the population of some countries. How do we solve that? Do people think that was created by the current government? Of course not. But the current government must begin the process of finding room for all our children in school. Otherwise, what is going to confront us in the future will be far worse than Boko Haram.
I mean, if you look at some of the things that the president said he will do, and some of the burden of what is on his neck, you heard Osita Chidoka, that we are headed in the path of debt crisis, that this government is borrowing more than it can chew. Those are the words of Osita Chidoka. Is this country in trouble with the issue of debt crisis? And you think the government of the APC, where you belong, is handling this country well in that area?
I'm not the best to answer that question because I'm not an economist. As an individual, the last time I owed anybody a penny was 1989, and I printed a certificate of financial freedom for myself. And I brought all my children to say, you must never borrow money. Most Africans who are in the USA or UK will never return home because they are owing too much money on credit cards. I have never owed money on credit card. So the point is, as a person, I don't like debt. But I also know enough of government to know that across the world, government borrow money to finance projects. My own preference will be that if we must borrow money, it must not be to pay politicians. It must not be to just service civil servants. It should be to create infrastructure that can move the economy forward. Otherwise, I believe is money poorly spent.
We need to go now, Professor. As it stands right now, you think Nigeria is in the right hands?
Yes, I believe so. I tell you why. I'm sad when I see people try to create a kind of schism between the president and the vice president. You have a president that people trust because they know he is anti-corruption. Unfortunately, we have a president who is not a talker. And the truth is, as Napoleon said, we rule men with words. Fortunately, we have Oshibajo, who is a brilliant talker. And the two together, working together, is perfect for this country. And woe unto those who are trying to create schism between those two.
We need to go now. Prof, in one sentence, where do you think the presidency should go in 2023? North, south?
I think it should go to where the people decide. I don't believe this nonsense of north-south. And that's how we got this nation into a mess. We don't see who is the best qualified, who has the agenda, who has the best manifesto. It's about Yoruba or Igbo or this and that.
We need to go now. I will probably leave it at that. It's always a pleasure having you.
God bless you.
OLUSOLA Adeyeye, former Senate Whip. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you very much.
But that's our show tonight. But before we go, and here is my final word. I'm probably directing it to President Muhammadu Buhari to remind him of his promises, not only the ones for 2019, but also the ones he made in his fourth term, which Nigerians are yet to see. President Buhari, on the 1st of January, a few days ago, you said, and I quote you, "Today marks a new decade. It is a time of hope, optimism, and fresh possibilities. We look forward as a nation to the 2020 as an opportunity to build on the foundations we have laid." Those are the words of President Buhari. So this year, we might be reminding you of some of the promises you made, not sounding like a broken record, but just to let you know that Nigerians take your words seriously, and we want you to act on them like you said you would. That's my final word tonight, everyone. And that's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Shimon Kimbale. Enjoy the rest of the day.